Very good morning, children, and today we are going to start with our new chapter in English literature, that is Set Our Children Free by Kailash Satyarthi. Now let me tell you who was Kailash Satyarthi. You must have heard about people who fight for certain causes. For certain causes, like some people, they fight for the evil practices in the society, like oppression against women. Some you must have read about Raja Ram Mohan Rao, who fought against sati practice. So there are certain people who fight against certain practices in society. They take stand that this practice is not correct and not humanitarian. So they take a stand to avoid or abolish certain practices that exist in our society. So similarly, this man Kailash Satyarthi, he is a child activist. He is a child activist. Activist means basically he is the one who fights for children. His fight against the society is basically fight for children. Fight for children means he is the one who does not favor child marriage, who does not favor child labor. Child marriage means getting married before the age of 18, and child labor means when a child is involved in doing the work of a labor. So this should not be done, according to him and according to most of us who believe, most of us who are educated and well versed about the concept of child labor. We believe that a child till the age of 18 has got every right to go to school and to get education, and that is the place which belongs to child at that age. So, and the child should not get involved in any sort of work for earning. Rather, during that age, the child should go. Rather, during that age, a child should get a chance to go to school and study and develop his or her personality. So this man, Kailash Satyarthi, is the one who actually fought for children, who actually is a social activist, who has given his life, who has actually dedicated his time and energy and resources to work for the betterment of the children, and mostly those children who belong to the lower strata of society. Lower strata of society means those group of people who cannot afford, who don't have enough resources, who don't have enough finances to send their children to school. And basically those group of people, their children are deprived of schooling, their children are deprived of child rights. So this is a man, Kailash Satyarthi, very famous in that field, who has given it his all to lift up that strata of society. Okay, and that is what the title of the story says, that Set Our Children Free. Set Our Children Free means he is going to talk about children. He is going to talk about kids in his story. Free means to relieve them, to give them independence. Set our children free. Let the child relive with independence. That is what this story is going to deal with. Now, is it clear to all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now we are going to start with the original story, Set Our Children Free by Kailash Satyarthi. Kailash Satyarthi is born in a small city in Madhya Pradesh, is an Indian child rights activist and the founder of Bachpan Bachao Andolan. Andolan is a movement that is carried out for any cause. So he is the one who has actually initiated the movement known as Bachpan Bachao Andolan, and he was born in the author of the story, that is Kailash Satyarthi. He was born in a small town in Madhya Pradesh, and he is the one who actually works for children. As I have told you earlier as well, he is the one who works for children. His love for children and concern for less fortunate ones prompted him to work for their welfare. Now, as I told you that he was the one who was actually, his love for, he had a very affectionate, he was very emotional towards children. So that is why he decided that he will work for children, especially those who are deprived of their rights. Deprived of their rights means their right is not being given to them. So he is the one who actually works for that strata of society, that group of children who are deprived of their rights. Is it clear?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Now set our children free. This speech is a powerful argument made by Nobel Prize winner. Nobel Prize winner means Kailash Satyarthi, the author of the story, is also a winner of Nobel Prize. It is one of the most prestigious prizes given in our country. So he is a winner of that prize also. And this is a speech. The story is a speech which is presented by Kailash Satyarthi, and we will see the occasion on which he presented the speech. It opens our eyes and draws our attention towards the piteous condition of some of our fellow human beings, hair children. Now, in this story, as I have told you, that it is an eye opener for all of us. It actually will make us aware of what the society is facing, what children are facing, and we will be more, we will have more, we will be more aware of the surrounding. We will take care. By reading the story, we will come to know that we also have responsibility on our part to play. If we see any child of this age, of which Kailash Satyarthi has talked about, to help them in achieving their rights, help them in achieving what they deserve. Now, piteous condition. Piteous condition. Piteous condition means merciful. Condition. Okay. Now let us come to the original this thing. It is on page number 28 in your books. Those who have the books, they can open to page number 28. It is on page number 28. Now it says, Your Majesties, Your Royal Majesties, Royal Highness. Now he is, since I have told you, since it is being mentioned that it is a speech. So in a speech, always remember that whenever a speech is there, the person delivering the speech always addresses the audience, or always addresses the dignitaries present over there. So he is addressing and he's saying, Your Majesties. He is addressing to the people of high society, that is majesties means who are actually have the power or who are very highly placed in society. Your Royal Majesties, Royal Highness, Royal Majesties, Royal Highness, my dear daughter Malala, dear brother Tom Harkin, and my sisters and brothers. Now he is addressing and he is saying that Majesties means higher dignitaries present over here. The people who are listening to me, royal people who belong to royal background. Such people, my dear daughter Malala. Now Malala is Malala was an Afghan lady who actually also fought for such cause, that is the upliftment of children. So that is why he is addressing, and he is saying Tom Harkin. Tom Harkin was also a child activist. That is why he is mentioning their name over here. My sisters and brothers. My sisters and brothers means rest of the people who are listening to him. Friends, the Nobel Committee has generously invited me to present a lecture. Respectfully, I am unable to do that. Now he is saying that he is being invited on a very, very generous note by the Nobel Committee to present a lecture, but he feels that he is unable to do so. He is not able to deliver that lecture properly as it was expected from the Nobel Committee. Because I am representing here the sound of silence. The sound of silence means the voices that are unheard. Sound of silence means voices which are unheard voices which are unheard. Now, he is saying that this man Kailash Satyarthi is saying that he is representative of that group whose voices does not reach anyone, and their voices remain oppressed. In a sense, they remain silent. The cry of innocence and the face of invisibility. He is saying that here he was going to address, he is saying in his speech that he was there to address those people whose cries are cries of innocent people. Innocent means someone who is unaware of the society, who is unaware of the tricks of the society. So he is saying that I am here to represent those people whose cries are unheard and the face of invisibility. I represent millions of those children who are left behind, and that's why I have kept an empty chair here as a reminder. He is saying that I am representing those children who are not at all put at the forefront, who are not at all taken into consideration as a part of the society, and that is why I have put this empty chair. He has put an empty chair beside him to indicate that that chair belongs to those children whose voices are unheard, who are not at all taken notice of. Faces of invisibility means faces which are not noticed. Faces which are not noticed. And that's why I have kept the empty chair here as a reminder. I have come here only to share the voices and dreams of our children, because they are all our children. Now he is saying that I have come here because humbly people accepted me, generously people accepted generously. Nobel Committee invited me to deliver a lecture, and the reason why I have come here is that I want to represent those children whose voices are unheard, whose faces go unnoticed. And then he is saying that I am going to speak on behalf of those children, and their voice, I am going to be their voices and their dreams. And because the reason being that those those children also belong to our society. Those children form large part of our society, and they all should be considered as our very own. That is why I have come here to deliver a speech for them, to speak in favor of them, to speak for them. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
20 years ago, in the foothills of the Himalayas, I met a small, skinny child laborer. Now he is saying that somewhere 20 years back, when he had gone to the foothills of Himalayas, there he came across a child who was a laborer. Laborer are the working class, or you can say the masons and all, people who are put to do labor. So he is saying that he met a child who was actually a laborer. So when a child does labor, that term is known as child labor. So he is saying that he met a child who was actually a laborer, and it happened when he noticed it 20 years back, when he had gone to visit the foothills of Himalayas. Now he asked me, "Is the world so poor that it cannot give me a toy and a book instead of forcing me to take a gun or a tool?" Then he's saying that when he had met that laborer, see, the pity lies over here. The question that he asked, that little child who was a laborer asked the question was that this society in which we are living, is the social world around us so poor that it cannot afford me a toy and a book. Instead, I am being given tool and weapon at this young age. So this was a very appealing question, a heart-wrenching question that child had asked from this man, Kailash Satyarthi. And let's see what he says. 12 years ago, a child mother from the streets of Colombia asked me this. A child mother means the mother of a child. Child mother means mother of a child. Child mother means mother of a child. Now he is saying that some 20 years ago that incident took place, where a child laborer had asked him the reason why he was denied a toy and a book at this young age, and he was given tool and weapon. And he's saying that after 12 years, 12 years ago, 20 years ago that incident took place. Then 12 years ago, one incident took place where child of a mother of a child had inquired from this man, Kailash Satyarthi. Then what she had inquired in the streets of Colombia. That first incident took place in the foothills of Himalayas. The second incident, which he is going to talk about, took place in the streets of Colombia. Now, what was the incident? Asked me this: "I have never had a dream. Can my child have one?" Now she inquires from this man, Kailash Satyarthi, that though I could never cherish a dream, but my question is, though I was not able to cherish a dream, so can my child cherish a dream? Can my child live and have some dreams in life? So these were the heart-wrenching questions. These were the questions which can shake any individual. And these questions had shaken this man, Kailash Satyarthi. That is why he took up this agenda. That is why he worked for children. And these are heart-wrenching questions. Even if we imply it on ourselves, we'll feel that yes, they are appealing. How can any child's mother ask that if whether the child will be able to cherish a dream or not? And how can a child say? How can a child realize that the very essence of life in the early childhood lies in having toys and books and not having weapons and tools? So these were actually very appealing, very heart-wrenching questions that were put forth before Kailash Satyarthi. First question was put by a child laborer in the foothills of Himalaya, and second question was put forth by a child mother in the streets of Colombia. And now he is narrating those incidents after 20 years and after 12 years. The duration of gap between narration and the actual happening of the incident. First incident took place 20 years back and the second incident took place 12 years back. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
If anything is not clear, please let me know. Okay? Friends, all the great religions teach us to care for our children. Now see, we all cannot deny the fact that every religion, in no religion it is ever mentioned that we should mistreat a child. In fact, all the religions, they place priority over dealing with children in a very polite, in a very humanly way. So he says that whatever happened with those children, the questions that were put forth before him, he is answering those questions, and he is saying that, friends, all the great religions teach us to care for our children. That is, the teaching of all the great religion is that we should be careful towards our children. We should have a very humble, we should have a very generous approach towards our children. Now, our children, he is not talking about the kids of a single parent or two parents. Rather, he is talking about the children who are present in our society, not only our children but children who are present around us. And he is saying that no religion teaches us to not to be generous with them. We should adopt same approach towards all the children as we have towards our children. So if all of us start looking at this society in the way that Kailash Satyarthi has talked about, I think this society will be a much better place for children to survive. That is why he has raised up this very important issue, which is actually a very corrupt practice that is being followed in the society these days. Jesus said, "Let the children come to me, do not hinder them, for the kingdom of God belongs to them." Now he has quoted something said by Jesus Christ, and he is saying that if I am talking about religion, I am quoting the words of Jesus Christ, where he said that let the children come to me, don't stop them from coming to me, because the kingdom of God, the area in which God rules, it belongs to them, it belongs to children. So do not hinder, do not stop the children from coming to me. Is it clear? Hinder means hinder means stop, or hindrance is an obstacle, you can say. Okay? Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Now he has quoted line from Christianity, something which was said by Christian God, something which was said by Christian God, because a group of people, they worship that God. Now he is going to quote from some other religion. Let's see from which religion he quotes now. The Holy Quran says, kill not your children because of poverty. Now the Holy Quran, the lines of Holy Quran is being quoted by Kailash Satyarthi, according to which he says that the Quran says that we don't have any right to kill our children just because we are poor. We don't have enough resources. So in that case also we don't have any right to kill our children, because children are being, whoever comes on this earth is actually a decision by God. So, and God has sent that person. So we don't have any right, and we should not enjoy that right to kill anyone just because we don't have enough resources to feed that person or enough resources for the survival of that person. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Friends. Now he says, friends, there is no greater violence than to deny the dreams of our children. Now, according to him, according to Kailash Satyarthi, after quoting lines from Jesus Christ and after quoting lines from the Holy Quran, he says that he is appealing to people and he is telling people that, my dear friends, I am telling you that there is no crime more than oppression of children, more heinous, more deadly than the crime where we oppress children. So we don't have any right to do so. He says that there is no greater violence. In his eyes, nothing can be of greater you can say nothing can be more inhuman as compared to the violence which is being done against children. So, according to him, we should look at all the children. We should look at the children present in our society in the same way as we look upon our children. So, in that way, there will be uniformity in the society, and many children who are not able to avail basic necessities of life. Once we start looking at society in that way, they will be able to enjoy the luxuries of life present in this society. So that is what Kailash Satyarthi has talked about, and he says that no religion says that we have enough right in. He says that no religion has taught us this, that we have enough rights to deny the rights of the children. In fact, all religion teaches us to be very much generous, be very much humble, and be very much respectful towards children. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
And we should not deny them their rights. Denial of rights means whatever right is being given to you by the Constitution at your age. If anyone is depriving you of your right, that is denial of your rights. Okay? Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Then he says, next page, then he says, therefore I refuse to accept that all the temples and mosques and churches and prayer houses have no place for the dreams of our children. Now he is saying that since I have quoted lines from two religions, that is Christianity and Islam religion. So he says that since I have quoted from there, and I am saying that there cannot be no crime more heinous than the crime against children. So then then after that he says then that because such things are mentioned in religion, that is why I firmly stand and say that I cannot accept that a mosque or a church or a temple has ever said that. He says, I refuse to accept that all the temples and mosques and churches and prayer houses have no place for children for the dreams of our children. He says that I cannot accept. It is beyond my acceptance. It is beyond my acceptance that I cannot acknowledge. I cannot accept the fact that the prayer houses that is there in our society for all the different religions, they don't have any place. They don't have any scope for the dreams of these children. These children means he's talking about those children who are suppressed in our society, who belong to the lower strata of society, who are actually denied of who are actually deprived of their rights. The rights which are given to the constitution, to the children by the constitution at young age, they are deprived of their right. So he is saying, that even the prayer houses, I cannot accept that they do not acknowledge the rights of such children. They don't have place, they don't have scope to accept the dreams of such children. They also have the scope of accepting the dreams of such children. So if God can accept at prayer houses, then the onus lies upon us that if something is accepted by God, then we have no right to deny that. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
I refuse to accept that the world is so poor when just 1 week of global military expenditure can bring all the children to classrooms. Now he says that people make false claims, claiming that there is not enough financial resource to bring every child to school. But I think that there are enough resources, and if we spend the amount that is being spent on global military expenditure in a week. Global military expenditure means maintenance of army across the world. Okay? Okay, is it clear? Global military expenditure. Global military expenditure means maintenance required for global army. Maintenance over here means financial maintenance. Okay, he is saying that I cannot accept the claim which says that there are not enough finances to bring every child in this world to school in a week, because I think the global expenditure, the global financial maintenance amount that is required to maintain the army across the globe in a single week, if we spend that amount only on our children, then all the children in this world who are deprived of their rights will be able to come to school, will be able to join school. Is this much clear to all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Then he says, I refuse to accept all the laws and constitutions. Police and judges are unable to protect our children. Now he says that I refuse to accept, I cannot acknowledge the fact that the constitution, the police, the judges, all the people who are in authority, they don't have enough power to protect our children. They are powerless to protect our children. I cannot accept that fact. That fact is beyond my acknowledgement. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Now we'll stop here. We will continue in the next class. Meanwhile, if you have any doubts, you can ask me now. Thank you so much, children.
Excuse me, ma'am.